Imagine there was a meteor hurtling through space aimed for a direct impact on Earth today. You see it coming precisely from the constellation of Scorpio. You run fast to alert all the people in your town who also look up and themselves see with their own eyes the same meteor precisely in the constellation of Scorpio. Word spreads, and people all over the world are talking about this meteor. But as word spreads, few people actually look up for themselves, just taking the words of others plainly. Some, using their eyes, begin to calculate the date and moment of impact so as to prepare, while others, using their astrological charts, come up with their own calculations to determine when the moment of impact is to take place. Those using their eyes determine it's going to hit tomorrow, while the astrologers say next year in 13 months. Everyone begins preparing for the inevitable. Those who use their eyes run to the hills and caves to hide, taking whatever they can. Those who depended on astrologers begin to plan to survive. The next day, at exactly the time and hour those who used their eyes, already cozied up in the hills and caves, predicted, boom, the meteor strikes. Everyone who relied on the astrologers as they gathered to plan how they would survive, dead. This is precisely the scenario playing out in modern times, with everyone depending on traditional tropical, Vedic, and sidereal astrologists for their own personal natal star readings, horoscopes, and forecasts, with equally dire, though not as fatal or apocalyptic, consequences on their lives and trajectories. The whole act of star reading, called astrology, is based on astronomy, which for the ancients who created the whole art of astrology to begin with, was as astronomical as it was serious. There is no indication at all whatsoever that the ancients, who consecrated their astrological astronomy into stone to last into posterity, would dare use today's tropical, Vedic, or sidereal traditions of star reading for their own purposes. The mere fact that these three modes deviate from what their eyes would see renders them useless and obsolete. If the ancient stone building cultures from all over the world were all to use what modern astrologers call zodiacs, we would think the ancient builders dumb, because none of these fascinating astronomical alignments would exist. Instead, all these ancient stone building cultures did one thing, and this one thing was universal to all of them. They used their eyes. Their astrology was astronomy. The two were one science, no ancient thought to separate: astrological astronomy. The ancients matched the observations of their eyes, gazing up at the sky, to the earth. It was only through the loyal mirroring of the heavens above through their stone monuments below on earth that they could achieve such feats of construction with astronomical alignments consecrated in stone as an act of true star reading, creating first a written down mirror of the skies and then affecting that mirror upon the rest of their lives and civilizations, which is how their monuments to even this day remain precise mirrors of the heavens. Ask any astrologer alive today to do the same, and they would be off by about 30 degrees. They believe there has to be a correction of the skies, as if such human effrontery would dare do what only God can, to account for the precession of the equinox, which is natural, and thus cause by definition a scientific retardation of today's skies, causing it to regress back in time and cause a literal delay in progression. From there, everything goes awry and proves nonsensical, from natal charts, forecasting, to everything. And no wonder hardly anyone believes in astrology, and those who believe are better off not believing. Traditional astrology is in fact a literal, by definition, retardation of the truth of observable fact, testable science, and thus of everyone who desires to know the truth. Traditional astrology by way of tropical, Vedic, and sidereal would have mankind truly mentally handicapped in its ability to progress. Modern astrology must divest itself of these regressive and quantifiably retarding traditions and update itself to reflect the current state of the heavens by, coincidentally, going back to the past, but to reintroduce astrology as a true act of star reading as intended by the ancients, who gave us this scientific theory to begin with. For astrology is the theory of the science of astronomy, with the eyes and copy-pasting observations of the heavens down on paper without deviation, but pure loyalty to the facts of our modern-day astrology. So our modern-day astrology, just like the ancients, is a mirror between heaven and earth. Then can our knowledge progress with testable observations and extract prudent hypotheses or horoscopes and forecasts. Our modern-day astrology must be true and prove to be observable, astronomical, incontrovertible, and consequential to the true trajectory of the heavens, our personal lives, and all mankind. Reintroducing the Adonisian Zodiac. What is the Zodiac? The Zodiac is about the sun. It tracks the sun by using the stars as signposts. These signposts are seen from Earth's perspective, called geocentric, a model where Earth is in the center. Thus, the Zodiac is a geocentric model that tracks the sun. To track the sun for accurate observations, let us say you awoke with enough time to watch the sunrise. To track the sun, you observe it from sunrise to sunrise. You observe 1. It took the sun 24 hours to complete the journey. 2. There are 24 hours in one sun journey around the Earth's geocentric perspective, and that makes a day. 3. You can now keep time like a sundial or a clock, which you happen to know are all made of 360 degrees. Let us say the sun was in Aries. You know this because the star signposts that make up Pisces had already risen and were already observable in the skies when the sign of Aries, which follows Pisces, began rising. So too did the sun. Thus, the sun, observably, was in Aries. Furthermore, the sun was observed rising in Aries for 26 days. Using logic, you deduce 360 degrees divided by 26 days is just a 0.072 slice out of the whole sundial. You hypothesize. If you filled out the rest of the 360-degree dial, then you would have a pretty accurate sundial, a sun tracker, or zodiac. Let's pretend you did that. Track the sun until you finished the whole dial, and came up with this.